How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about a cult classic anthology film, and that is The ABCs of Death. This is from 2012, and the credits say, based on a nightmare by Ant Timpson, which I guess means created by. And the idea with this anthology was pretty simple. There are 26 letters of the alphabet, 26 directors or directing teams were given a letter, and they had to think of a word that could describe how someone died that goes with their letter, you know? So 26 letters, 26 ways to die. You were given $5,000, and you had to start and end on the color red for transition's sake. But other than that, go wild and do whatever. And boy, did they. I guess I should mention the initial reception when this thing first came out. A whole bunch of people saw this movie. I think VHS and ABCs of Death were streaming on Netflix at the same time, which, by the way, VHS fans, Ty West and Adam Wingard are here, so that's pretty cool. But this really had word-of-mouth appeal, much like VHS. People saw it, it was extreme, they had to talk about it, and plus, it's an easy concept to explain to your friends, and they would get it, and they would go and check it out, and there was quite a few moments. You know, there was a cartoon about a piece of poop that just won't go down the toilet. There was The Last Short Z, which is political, I guess, but almost completely indescribable, and you would have to talk to people about that just to try to figure out what it meant, you know? There was, I don't know if the word furry was common knowledge in 2012, but there were World War II furries in here, and I remember people talking about that. Yeah, there's quite a lot of stuff that the general public wasn't used to. This was unlimited art house cinema that really did whatever it wanted, and this was like a lot of people's first exposure to that. And I can see why it was done through word of mouth. I can see why so many people had to talk about it. But I think if you talk to people and ask them legitimately, even the people that remembered it fondly, is this a good movie? I think a lot of people would say no. Yeah, for as many shorts as there are, there's only a handful that are legitimately good. And I do want to stress that. These shorts miss an incredible amount of the time. But the thing is, when they're bad, a lot of them are bad in such a bizarre and spectacular way that they're at least memorable. And yeah, it's not a great movie, but it is an extreme and bizarre movie, and I think that's why it still has a cult following to today. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I can see why it gets passed around, and I can see why it gets talked about, and I totally get if you are in the cult following. A few of the highlights, I'm not going to cover every one. This is 26 shorts after all. There's just no time in the video to talk about all of them. If you guys want, I could do a series of videos for like spoiler talks or something. I don't know. I might do that. But also, boy, 26 episodes. That, if you guys want to watch this movie in chunks, I would recommend watching it in chunks because, well, if you want to chug the whole thing, you can, but boy, it's a lot. But anyway, some highlights. Adam Wingard, in his section, Q is for Quack, I think that's the best one. Basically, Adam Wingard playing himself and the writer of this short playing himself, they talk about how they don't like that they got stuck with the letter Q, and they don't know what to shoot. So it's very meta and very self-reflective. I really did like that. There's another one, I think it was directed by the guy that did a Serbian film, where it's about this director, and the studio is literally putting him in for surgery and peeling strips of film out of his flesh, kind of talking about, you know, the studio system kind of taking your body and soul very Cronenberg-y. I really like that one. And there are some bad ones, and I think when I complain about the flaws of the film, I'll get to them later. But also, there's just a lot of ones that get kind of forgotten. For example, there was this one where this guy is teaching his parakeet how to say words so that it can help him propose to his girlfriend. So it'll be like, will you marry me? And the bird will take out the ring. It's a cute little sketch, but you know this is ABCs of Death. You know it's going to go sour. It's one that I liked, but kind of forgot about just because it's overshadowed by all this noise. There's another one that's like a serious one. I think it's called I is for Ingrown, where you see a lady in a bathtub getting murdered, and then at the credits, and this message should have been in the short, not the credits, but it talks about the director saying, in my home country, this many people are murdered. The horror is not on screen, it's in real life. Okay, I get that. There's a message, but boy, is this overshadowed. And that is sort of the thing. Having a movie with so many extreme, over-the-top segments, I mean, especially when you end on the weird insanity that Z is, you kind of forget a lot of the segments that are okay just because they're overshown by such insanity. And I think a good sort of example short that kind of explains the feeling of ABCs of Death is probably one of the most remembered shorts, and that would be L is for Libido. And yeah, let's talk about that one. I'm not gonna spoil it. I'll hint to how it ends because that's part of the thing with it, but I won't spoil it. But basically, in L is for Libido, two guys wake up strapped to chairs, and there's a small stage with a naked woman. They begin to pleasure themselves, and the one that finishes first gets to live. The other guy has a stake pop up from the bottom of his chair and stabs him through his butt and out his mouth. And it's a contest. It's, you know, who can finish first in a series of versus battles, and the things they're watching on stage are going to get progressively stranger and stranger and harder to find pleasure in, and the last thing that they see is going to be absolutely way too far over the line and horrible. And it's one of those where it's directed as good as you'd expect it to be, and boy, you sure as heck remember this short. But at the same time, you end it going, what the heck did I just watch? And you do get that feeling for a whole lot of these shorts. And I guess I should say, the line. The last thing that these characters see is way too far over the line, and it doesn't explicitly show what it is, but it shows enough that you know what's happening. And it's terrible. And there are other things like that. You know, in particular, I really don't like animal abuse. And D is for Dogfight, I think, is a horrible short because the whole short is an underground fighting league where a man is fighting a dog. I don't want to see someone punch a Labrador Retriever in the face. That's horrible. There's another segment that's doing pretty good for most of it, and it ends with a cute little kitten getting squished. I don't want to see that. I don't like animal abuse. I think that is a segment that goes too far. And I think there's another segment where like a robot bites a baby's head off. I'll say this, and I don't want to sound like a prude, but I think everyone talks about crossing the line. I think the twist is there's actually two lines. You know, you get one line that you really do have to cross, because everything on the other side of that is just mushed up baby food, factory cinema, safe studio films. You want to cross the line, you want to be bold, you want to be daring, but there is another line. And I think the thing is, you want to cross one, but not the other. You don't want to get so far as to have the animal abuse in your films. I didn't like that. And the thing is, all the shorts pretty much cross the first line, but some of them cross the second one too. And that is because the directors could do whatever they want. And that's something that, I believe in creative freedom. I want to direct films myself. I want to be able to do whatever I want. But at the same time, I know that we have editors, studio executives, creative control. Like, I know why the limitations are in place. Because if you have no limitations, well, F will be for fart, T will be for toilet, and O will be for orgasm. And you're gonna have some shorts, like O is for orgasm, or Z, or W, that just don't make much sense. Granted, W was supposed to not make any sense, but still, you're going to get moments that are crossing the second line. You're gonna get moments that make no sense. You're gonna get weird little shorts that you have no idea what's going on in, and yeah, that's just going to be something that happens with complete creative freedom. It's something I in general like, but I know that things are gonna get off the rails. So yeah, I guess it is a balancing act, but when it goes off the rails, like when you get something like L is for Libido, or you get the Z segment, it is something people remember. But at the same time, like I talked about with that Decent Parakeet short, the extreme but not good but loud moments do kind of overshadow the decent but smaller ones, and there's a whole lot you forget in this film, so I don't know, it is kind of a loud burst of noise. It is kind of how the internet works. I mean, how many YouTube videos have screaming faces in the title? Maybe this was ahead of its time, I don't know. But anyway, I think the ABCs of Death, it was quite the experience, and I think in its own little self-contained way, it's good to see the extreme insanity that filmmakers can come up with, but at the end of the day, it was probably best to keep these as shorts. And yeah, especially if you watch all 26 too quickly, it's just a confused mess of information. But I mean, when a lot of cinema is too controlled and too flat, it is good to go extreme, even if it is too extreme, I guess. Like I said, there's only a handful of these that are legitimately good, but it is something that I'd say watch it just to say that you've seen it, because it is absolutely bizarre. I don't know. What do you guys think of this? What was your favorite shorts? Let me know about it, because it is one of those films that it is kind of just there and hard to describe. I mean, this video is one of my harder ones to organize, so I'd be curious what you guys think of this. I know it does have a cult following. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. If you guys want to see more, you can click right here and see more. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.